Today will be a lecture of transition from chapter 2 to chapter 3 in the book. But just like on the road, when you come to the fork in the road, it's much better to know the comparison between one branch and the other. In this case, these two chapters. And so let's take a look back to make sure there's no truck crashing into you when you're hesitating at the intersection. Let's take a look back. In chapter 2, we've done several things in tandem, like in a tango. One was basically the theory of momentum transfer, which means friction on a flat wall. That's how boundary layer theory was born. So that was answering the friction question or the drag question. And the other one was about the thermal resistance, where the heat transfer coefficient, also known as Nusselt number. So there were two questions, one a la fluid mechanics, the other one belonging in heat transfer. So two things. And we solved those two problems through two ways. First, by scale analysis, and later by a similarity formulation. Similarity formulation was most of my lecture last Monday. The chronology of this sort of birth of boundary layer theory is as follows. First, the oldest was the similarity formulation. And that happened in the 1910s with authors such as first Prandtl, then Blasius and Polhausen. And then in the book, there's another method called integral in the 1920s, which is easy for you to read because this integral method is a lot simpler than the similarity formulation. It was created by Karman and Polhausen. Karman was another student of Prandtl. And then finally, most recently, scale analysis. That was in the 1980s, leading to the textbook that you have. In other words, in time, the idea became not only classical, but easier to explain, or easier to, a problem that's easier and easier to solve. So, in this direction, the communicating of the ideas became faster. Of course, less costly. And that, of course, this arrow is generally recognizable if you put your mind to it as the evolution of science in every domain. It is not a path to being simplistic or in a hurry. It is actually an invitation to know everything, the most recent, but also what led to it. And that bird's eye view, meaning knowing them all, is power. Power. You look at the greatest figures in history. I'll just give two names. One, Napoleon, after him Bismarck, from Prussia to creating Germany. These individuals knew everything, beginning with not only history, but the history of engineering and warfare, all these things. So that's power. And the name for them all is history. So next time you run into your classmates from other departments, for example, from social sciences or from arts and sciences, people majoring in history, tell them how important their field is and why they should get interested in the history of science as well. Because this is the same story, and it is useful for precisely the same reason as all of engineering.